the lifeblood of this world. Our bond is iron, our will unbreakable. Who will stand against us?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chris Waters.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Horde and the Alliance alike, welcome to the Warlords of Draenor Worldwide Cinematic Premiere! I want to thank all of you here in the Ace Theater in downtown Los Angeles for coming out today, and all of you for tuning in and watching online. My name is Chris Waters. I can usually be found talking about games, playing games, generally celebrating how awesome games are on GameSpot.com. But today, I'm here, we're all here, to celebrate one awesome game. World of Warcraft has touched millions of people all around the world, and y'all were not the only people lining up for an event like this today. In China, in Korea, and at Blizzard's booth in Cologne, Germany at Gamescom, hundreds and thousands of you have all come out to see what Blizzard has to offer, and it's gonna be a great show. In addition to the Warlords of Draenor intro cinematic, we've also got a brand new animated series that delves deep into the lore of World of Warcraft. We're gonna talk with World of Warcraft developers about all the new features you can expect once Warlords of Draenor goes live. And, of course, Blizzard legends Mike Morhaime and Chris Metzen are here. It's gonna be a great show, so let's kick it off in earnest. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Blizzard's CEO and co-founder, Mike Morhaime.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank everyone on the stream for tuning in. You guys are a great crowd. As many of you know, this year marks the 20th anniversary of the original Warcraft Orcs and Humans strategy game. And the 10th anniversary of World of Warcraft. We've all made some awesome memories together, created close friendships, and shared some great times playing these games over the years. And that is a big reason why we're really excited about Warlords of Draenor. This expansion takes World of Warcraft back to the roots of Warcraft. You'll explore the Orc homeworld and establish your own base of operations as you fight for the future of Azeroth. Two of the designers on the game, Ian Hazzikostas and Brian Halinka, are here, and they'll talk more about what you can expect from the expansion. We also have Chris Metzen here to debut some really cool stuff for you. Chris will get into the legendary characters and events that formed the foundation of this fantasy world that we are all part of. That's all coming up, along with the date when the next chapter of World of Warcraft will go live. And without further ado, I'd like to turn the show back over to our host, Chris Waters.
All right, we're gonna get set up for an interview just a second here, but first, I wanna hear from you folks in the crowd. How many of you are here, standing strong, representing the Alliance? Well, I guess that also answers my next question. How many of you here are running with the Horde? Sounds like you got your work cut out for you, Alliance. All right, please join me in welcoming to the stage World of Warcraft developers Ian Hazakostas and Brian Holinka. How about this crowd, guys?
Pretty pumped up.
This is incredible. This is like a little mini BlizzCon in the middle of Los Angeles on a Thursday morning. How about that?
You see this woman over here? She's got full face paint, fangs. Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Full getup.
We
All
saw
right,
this guy here at Tuesday at 1 p.m., so
Tips.
there is Tibbs.
Yeah.
All right, gents, let's get into it here. But first, give the folks a little bit of touch point for what you do at Blizzard, what your work on World of Warcraft consists of.
Sure, yeah, my name is Brian Holinka, and I'm a senior game designer on World of Warcraft. And specifically, I spend most of my time working on PvP. I think some people here like PvP, right?
A few.
So yeah, my name is Ian Hazakostas. I'm one of the lead game designers on WoW, watcher on the forums and on Twitter. And yeah, I do a bunch of different things, work with the dungeon and raid team that makes the encounters for the game, and a little bit of systems, some class stuff here and there. But yeah, super excited to be here.
Right on, fellas. Well, every time there's an expansion for World of Warcraft, it's a chance for people of all levels to dive back in, to chase new loot, to chase new levels. But I don't know if this resonates with any of you out there, but it can be a little daunting for some of those of us who are more modestly leveled, shall we say. But in Warlords of Draenor, you guys have introduced level 90 boosts. It's going to sort of address that and help folks out. Can you talk to us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. We're definitely aware that there are a lot of folks in that boat. Maybe not the people sitting right here, because I know you guys are all hardcore level 90s. But maybe you want to switch. Maybe you want to switch characters. Maybe you want to switch mains coming into the expansion. So we want to make sure that when you get Warlords of Draenor, when you log in to face this new adventure, you can really jump right into Draenor. You don't necessarily want to find yourself at level 73 in Grizzly Hills and, oh, wow, you've got a lot of ground to cover before you can get there. So no matter what, when you have Warlords of Draenor, you'll be able to boost one of your characters to level 90, whether it's a brand new character or an existing one, and you will find yourself facing the Dark Portal with this new adventure lying ahead of you. And as you go through and have your initial assault on the Dark Portal, we have a structured experience, kind of a little bit like the old Death Knight starting experience, where we will pare down your bars, make sure you only have a few buttons initially, so you're not necessarily overwhelmed by a new spec, or if you're coming back to the game after many years, changes that have happened while you were away. Then as you go through the adventure, as you progress on your initial mission, things will unfold, things will unlock, you get new abilities, you get new talents, and next thing you know it, you're ready to take on Draenor. Excellent.
So easing folks in for when they want to jump into the deep end.
Pretty much.
And so when I've rolled my new Draenor Paladin, I'm rolling out there, level 90 boosted. What is my character looking like? What kind of stuff am I bringing along?
So yeah, that's one of the really exciting things about this expansion. We've finally taken the time to go back and update all of our character models from vanilla, as well as the Draenei, since they're such a prominent race that you're going to find in Draenor. We'll be getting to the other ones in the very, very near future. But yeah, so all new high-def looks. At the same time, you also might notice that we've cleaned up people's bars a little bit. We recognize that over many, many years, we kind of added and layered on abilities that were often a little bit redundant or maybe not strictly necessary. And we really wanted to kind of streamline, get back to the basics, the core of what each class is, and also give us some more room to add cool things in the future. Because at some point, once you have all your keybinds, all your action bar space full, there's nowhere to go from there.
So really gearing up for a fresh start and sort of a new chapter in the World of Warcraft.
Exactly.
All right. Well, speaking of Warcraft, I mentioned before that I work for GameSpot, and about 20 years ago, a little less, I was visiting GameSpot and downloading a free demo for Warcraft 2. And I think I played that so much, got so wrapped up in that RTS awesomeness, I still have the zug zug and in your name lodged back in my lizard brain. So imagine my delight when you guys are kind of bringing that RTS gameplay back into Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah, you get a little bit of that from the garrison. It's definitely putting the Warcraft back in World of Warcraft. Your mission on Draenor is to take down the Iron Horde. And as mighty a hero, as mighty a champion as you may be, having felled the Lich King, Deathwing, all these great enemies, even you can't handle that on your own. You need an army at your back, and that is your initial mission, really, to establish a base, an outpost, and raise the army that will help you take down the Iron Horde. And in so doing, really, you're claiming a plot of land, building it up, making a number of choices along the way, whether you want a lumber mill or a stables, whether you want an armory or a mage tower. And those choices are going to shape your adventure through Draenor and really give you a way to kind of customize, level up, and have this feeling of, hey, this is my base, and I own a part of it.
Because we all want ways to feel more powerful, don't we? Building up that garrison, does that sound good to you guys? All right, well, I want to talk to you a little bit now, Brian, because while building up my garrison and marshaling my friends to go on and take on the AI nefarious demons that await us may be very satisfying, sometimes you just want to suit up and go head-to-head with another player.
Yeah.
In Astron, the new PvP realm, that's what we're going to be doing?
Absolutely. You know, Warlords of Draenor is a very exciting time for anyone that likes PvP in the world of Warcraft. We're bringing a lot of changes, a lot of new features, things like skirmishes, back into the fold. There's really more to do as a PvP player in World of Warcraft than ever before. And a big part of that is Astron. When we were thinking about features for Warlords of Draenor that were PvP-oriented, we were like, we didn't want to do, we have arenas, and we love arenas, and they're really cool for going in there and pitting your abilities against someone else. We have battlegrounds where players can feel a part of the Alliance or the Horde and battle for, Wrathy Basin or Warsong Gulch. And that structured stuff is really fun, but we wanted to kind of bring a new type of PvP content, something that feels like world PvP, in the world of Warcraft. So we wanted to set out and make a PvP playground, a place that, if I don't want to do arenas, I don't want to do battlegrounds, but I want to just kind of go out and beat some heads, there's a place for me to do it. And that's what Astron is. It's this island. It's off the east coast of Tanaan. It's kind of isolated there, but it's an old ogre city and civilization that's kind of fallen into ruin. And the Alliance and Horde have kind of retreated there following the raid on the Dark Portal, and they're kind of regathering their strength there. So the Horde base is on the north side, the Alliance base is on the south side, and what do you know? You put the Alliance and the Horde on an island, and it doesn't go so well. Like,
I'm
they kind of
shocked.
fight a little bit, right? So there's this massive tug-of-war going on, between the Horde and the Alliance, kind of pushing between the two bases. It's one of the most epic, huge fights you've ever seen. Our beta, people have just been flocking to it. Huge fights, really awesome stuff. Kind of harkens back to the days when Alterac Valley used to go on for 4 or 5 days. Used to spawn those epic units. All that kind of stuff is kind of coming back. And if you don't necessarily want to jump into that Zerg gameplay, around the outside of the island, we have these 4 different little areas. They're kind of themed in different ways. And they've got different creatures there that you can kill and slay. You can earn things called artifact fragments, which are kind of Ashran's currency. And you can use that currency to go buy different things for your team, for yourself. And it kind of provides the opportunity for that roaming 5-man PvP group to kind of come back into the fold. So it's really cool. It's something brand new that you've never really experienced before. But anytime we do something like that, we don't want to, a lot of our realms are kind of like mostly Horde or mostly Alliance. So we're using some of our new technology to say, oh, Tichondrius is mostly Horde. Okay, we'll grab them and we'll pit them against another server that's mostly Alliance. So they'll be coming together in Astron. So for the most part, the population will be well balanced, and it'll be a good experience for everybody.
Sounds pretty good to me. Now, when you're, Brian, talking about sort of stuff you can sort of go off the beaten path and earn different, purchase new things, unlock different abilities, you said the word playground earlier. You guys are getting a little bit playful in the kinds of abilities you're allowing players to flex in Astron.
We've just unleashed our designers, 2 guys, Chris Galicki, Morgan Day, have just been just being super creative with everything that's in there. Because one thing about World PvP is kind of finding other ways to have an advantage, whether you're sneaking up on somebody or you've just found that item that is the awesome item. That's really one of the classic parts about World PvP. And so what players can do is one of the cool things that they can find on some of the monsters out there are these special tomes. They're particular for your class, and they give your class kind of a limited time buff. That's a little crazy. Like, you don't want these in arena, believe me. There are things like priests, their levitate spell kind of lets them fly off the ground for a while and cast spells and heal. And paladins can lay down judgment on their enemies and send them to the faction prison, where and on beta we had these guys RPing. They were called the jailers of Astron, and they just hung out in those jails. And every time somebody would show up, they would inflict punishment upon them and lay down judgment. So very cool stuff.
And for all that punishment that you're inflicting, for all those great sort of power moves you're pulling, there's glory in victory, there's honor, but is there some extra loot you can maybe gain from the process as well?
Well, Astron's that opportunity for us to really rewrite the rules. And so one of the things we're doing different is that artifact fragments, that currency in Astron I was talking about before, if you kill another player, you can loot half their Astron fragments. So you're basically looting players. Yeah. So it brings a whole new dynamic to World PvP in Warlords of Draenor.
Brian, it sounds like you got a lot of excited people.
I guess people are happy
PvP
about
realm.
that, yeah. You guys want to loot each other.
PvP, of course, always been a part of the beating heart of World of Warcraft, as has lore. And with Warlords of Draenor, it gives you guys a chance to explore sort of new realms and new parts of lore. But one of the things that's coming back around in a big way is that old Dark Portal. You guys, we've seen the Dark Portal for years now. Sorry, the Dark Portal. We agree.
You have to say it that way.
You have to say it that way.
Yeah.
It's my bad, folks. Ian, can you tell us more about the role of the Dark Portal in Warlords of Draenor?
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. I mean, really, going all the way back to the Warcraft 2 expansion, it was called Beyond the Dark Portal for a reason. The Dark Portal is the first thing you're going to see when you log into Warlords of Draenor. It's both the first threat that is posed to you and posed to Azeroth as a whole, and your first objective. Even though this is happening in Draenor, a distant world, there's a very immediate existential threat, which is that the Iron Horde, led by Grommash, is going to march their forces and their weaponized armored Gron and their siege machinery right through the Dark Portal and just lay waste to the entirety of Azeroth. Stormwind, Orgrimmar, all of it. And it's up to us to stop them.
Yikes.
Exactly. Not so good. So the very first thing that you do is going to be embarking through the Dark Portal on something of a suicide mission to sabotage it and shut it down. Spoilers, you don't actually die. And then from there, you're winning the initial battle, but certainly far from winning the war. You've bought yourself some breathing room, a little bit of time by shutting down that imminent invasion, but you still need to raise that army to work on Draenor to defeat the Iron Horde and stop that threat from actually being realized.
And now this invasion, I mean, that sounds a lot like one of these world events that you guys are fond of kicking off your expansions with. Am I right, folks? Can you tell us a little bit about sort of how you're presaging Warlords of Draenor sort of being released into the wild?
A little bit of that, yeah. I mean, we've done some fun stuff in the past with, like the zombie plague, things along those lines. It's always nice to throw a little twist. So what we're going to be doing in the 6.0 patch before Draenor itself unlocks is basically showing you this initial vanguard, this initial Iron Horde threat. They have this first incursion through the Dark Portal that's basically laid waste to blasted lands. Netherguard Keep is now in ruins. The Alliance and Horde are scrambling to understand this new threat, to understand what's happened, and to kind of rally their forces in response. And you are part of that first group that's sent to investigate, to learn what's happened there. At the same time, what's also going on is that an initial part of this force has made its way to Upper Blackrock Spire to rendezvous with a certain warlord Zayla, with whom you have some unfinished business, from Siege of Orgrimmar, perhaps. And that's going to be a max-level dungeon in Warlords of Draenor. However, as part of the pre-release event, we're going to have a special level 90 preview version of that, available for a limited time only, where you can go into level 90 new Upper Blackrock Spire and fight your way through the first half of the dungeon, get some relevant loot to prepare yourself for Draenor, and get a taste of things to come.
Sound good? Ian, I think you've probably sold them all here already, but let's talk a little bit about Draenor as a world. This isn't the first new world that has been introduced to World of Warcraft, but with each new expansion, with each new world you bring, you got to carve out a new niche for it. You got to distinguish it and give folks something new. Can you tell us a little bit about what sets Draenor apart from the other worlds they've explored?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was really a chance to go back and explore what this world would have been like had, what ruined it and turned it into Outland not occurred. It's the birthplace of the Orcs. It's the home of the Draenei. It's a chance to explore these civilizations and these societies at their height. And while there's some familiar kind of nostalgia callbacks to players who played through Burning Crusade, it's ultimately a brand new world built from scratch, from the ground up. You know, there is a zone called Shadowmoon Valley, but it's not the Shadowmoon Valley you might remember from Outland, where there's fellfire raining from the sky and Illidan standing atop his black temple telling you how unprepared you are. This time around, it's, you know, rolling green hills with eternal twilight skies as Shadowmoon cultists conduct dark rituals under Stonehenge-like monuments. Like, totally, totally different vibe, and that's just, you know, a taste of what the world has to offer. We're really excited to have, you know, realized this. Our artists, our environment team did an incredible job putting this world together. We can't wait to share it with you all.
Can you guys wait to get into that? All right. Ian Hazakostas, Brian Holinka, thank you, gentlemen, so much for hyping us up about Warlords of Draenor, getting into some of the nitty-gritty of what it's all about. Let's hear it for them, folks. Now, all that stuff Ian and Brian were just talking about, you're going to get a glimpse of it a little bit later in the show. You're going to get a look at garrisons, what they look like, how you can customize them. You're going to get a look at Shadowmoon Valley looking positively peaceful, as Ian was saying. You're going to check out all the new environments of Warlords of Draenor. That's coming up in a little bit. But first, remember I mentioned the new animated series, deep delving into the lore of World of Warcraft? It's time to see that in action. But I'm not the guy to introduce that to you. That guy is a Blizzard Senior Vice President of Story and Franchise Development. Please welcome to the stage, Chris Metzen.
What up? Thanks, guys. Good morning, Los Angeles. How's everybody doing? Excellent, excellent. Guys, thank you for being here with us this morning. I want to get some too. Horde, where you at? Alliance, let me hear you. Proud defenders of Azeroth. Guys, we got some cool stuff in store for you this morning. You know, it's not every day we get to debut one of these cinematic intros. It's actually, I think today is the first time we've ever done a community event to roll out one of our cinematics. These cinematics are near and dear to our hearts, especially the intros. Obviously, not only do they kind of set up the framework of the story, the characters, the conflict, you know, the vector of the adventure to come, but we also, just personally, we love these cinematics because they're kind of the spear tip of imagination, right? They get the whole experience moving. And I hope that they show the tender love and care, the passion and craftsmanship that we try to put into our product. So we'll get to it in just a moment. I hope you guys love it like we do. But before we get to it, we brought something a little additional today. To set it up, I want to ask you guys a question. How many of you last year saw The Burdens of Xiaohao? Excellent. So over the years, you know, we've built the products. We kind of construct the story that flows through the expansion sets. Our story developers usually want to run a little deeper or get into characters' backstories, kind of bridge the products together. We love telling stories, and often we've done that over the years through novels, comics, manga, graphic novels, things like that, and we love that stuff. But with Xiaohao, we kind of took this new vector and we created kind of this serial sequence of animation, kind of this rough illustrative style, like an animated storybook. And we loved it. We loved making it. It seemed like people liked it a lot. And the fact that it's kind of just these little free pieces of animation to watch, it went out far and wide, right? It just, you know, I don't know, YouTube or wherever else. It cast a very wide net. We had a lot of people have a lot of fun with that product. So based on Xiaohao, we looked at Warlords of Draenor. We thought, well, what can we do? What kind of animation can we produce? Whoa. And kind of be able to take people back to this era of Draenor and express and explain some of the backstories of certain of these warlords, kind of get in their heads, kind of you know, illustrate what makes them tick, what are they motivated by, why are they such rotten bastards that we need to bring to justice. So, very happy to show you guys this morning, actually the first episode of Lords of War. This episode features one of our warlords, a dude by the name of Kargath Bladefist. It's kind of funny. It strikes me that Kargath and a number of his buddies were created as characters, oh my God, almost 20 years ago. I don't know how that's possible. But what that means is most World of Warcraft players have never met these guys, have never done quests with them or fought with them or kind of taken them down as raid bosses. So this series, right, in its heart, really wants to take you inside these characters and show you why you should care, why you want to face them and bring them to justice, as we said before. So, guys, without further ado, I'm very pleased to present Chapter 1 of Lords of War.
King Varian, the hour grows late. You must sign the declaration of war.
I was just a child when my father rushed to confront this same evil. He didn't understand these warlords at all. That mistake cost him his life and brought this kingdom to ruin.
You are not your father.
I know. But how can I succeed where he failed?
You can start by trusting my counsel. I have faced them before.
On Draenor, you were there all those years ago.
Yes. Believe me, they are not invincible.
Then tell me of them, Murad. Tell me everything.
Very well. Kargath had no clan. He was raised a slave. The ogre's cruelty was intolerable. So he sought a way out. The arena. 100 orc lives was the price for freedom. Fight. Kill. Salute. Lives. Kargath had earned his reward, like every champion before him. Buried beneath the arena, the promise of freedom, nothing but a lie. But Kargath would be chained no longer. Take your vengeance. Bound by vengeance, their name would be spoken in fear. This was the birth of the Shattered Hand.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. As you can see, the age of the whimsical panda, sadly, is over. The Warcraft of old is back, and it is as savage as ever. We have 4 more episodes of Lords of War. They're going to be debuting over the next number of weeks. We're not featuring every warlord in the series, just very pivotal ones that really affect the way the story is going to play out in the game. But we wanted to give you guys a sneak peek at some of the visuals of the rest of the series. You can kind of get a sense of kind of where it goes and how epic it feels. So without further ado, take a look at the teaser for the rest of this series of Lords of War.
You guys looking forward to more Lords of War? Learn more about this rogues gallery back here? Yes, please. All right, so I mentioned before after the interview that you're going to get a look at Draenor in action, a look at all the new areas, a look at garrisons, a look at the PvP madness of Astron. That happens now. Enjoy.
Well, guys, the time has come. To see the cinematic you've come here to see. Super excited. You know, guys, in so many ways, Warcraft is so much more than a game. You know, we set out 20 years ago to craft orcs and humans, and it's been this crazy, I don't know, sometimes it feels like a runaway train ever since. 20 years of developing an idea, and how amazing to see some of these old ideas come around again and feel new. But Warcraft is so much more than a game. It really is the community. Where's Tibbs at in here? Dude, this guy's first in line, rapping last night, just crazy commitment. Like all of you, your commitment to be here and kind of celebrate this moment with us is really what it's all about. And I really can't express to you how inspiring it is to be here for events like this, things like BlizzCon, and to be able to hear you, to hear the passion, really just stokes us up and fuels our tanks. And I can only tell you, we're working hard for you. We're listening. We're giving this thing everything we got. So thanks again for being here and just being part of this community. Thanks, guys. So, Warlords of Draenor. It was a weird story, right? I remember when we announced it at BlizzCon, in that big room, and you got people going, huh? You got some people going, yeah, right? Time travel, Star Trek, all that weird stuff, all the worries, all the way, where are you guys taking us? You're in good hands. It strikes me, though, that the fundamental idea that really sets up the fiction of Warlords of Draenor tracks itself all the way back, something like 30-odd years in the past of Draenor. A specific moment in history where the orcs came together and they struck a deal. A deal signed in corrupted blood. A deal that would shape the destinies of two worlds. And in a way, history's coming around again. Perhaps you'll see it ain't gonna go the way it went before. So while that sounds cryptic, you're about to get your first glance at the beginning of Warlords of Draenor.
Drink, Hellscream. Claim your destiny. You will all be conquerors. And what, Gul'dan, must we give in return? Everything. Reject this gift. And did you bring these mongrels here just to watch you die? is not our destiny. Times change. We will never be slaves! But we will be conquerors.